All right, one last video here for the last speaker of the language. This is yet another love story to go with the other two that we looked at in this module. One thing that makes this story unique is that we get the protagonist of the speaker being the other woman. Now, it might be a little bit different than what you're used to because um, Darlin or Darlin, I forget, I don't know how you would pronounce it, is the other woman to the wife of another man, if that makes any sense at all. And so we normally get stories of extramarital affairs from the person who is being cheated on, and then less often, but still fairly often, we get them from the person in the relationship doing the cheating. Very rarely do we get them from uh, the person who is being cheated with. I don't know how you say that, but you understand what I'm saying. And so we do get that here. Now, there is some things that I would just point out going through this. The first thing is, if we were having this discussion in a face-to-face class, I would complain, I guess, about not quite understanding the first line of this story and who exactly the narrator is. So it's a third-person narrator, but they don't seem to have much commentary, except for this first sentence where they like insert themselves into the story. All right, here we go. I don't, other than just being the author sort of easing us into the story like it's being told. I don't really see the benefit of that, but who am I suppose, right? So something pretty obvious to point out that I maybe should have done earlier is just like when you're writing, expository or academic writing, we need to break things into paragraphs and dialogue paragraphs. This is a dialogue-heavy story, and so anytime a new person speaks, you break into a paragraph, into a new paragraph, and that will allow you to avoid the repetitions of things like she said, he exclaimed, she questioned, etc. So if there's two people speaking, you just break each new person speaking into a paragraph. You don't have to have an explanation for who's doing the speaking because we know it's switched based upon the new paragraph. Okay. If you think about this story with regards to the tone of the story, I think the tone becomes super important because we have the main character who is working a job she does not like. The economy's tanked. She's a single mother raising her child, trying to provide Lake with the life that her child deserves. She's in love with someone who is married to somebody else. Her mother is an alcoholic gambler, and it's just all really overwhelming. And this could easily be a story where we kind of wallow in that misery, and that would be totally fine. But that's not the type of story that the author wants, and so Carol Anshaw includes, depicts the mother's alcoholism and gambling as sort of humorous, which is an odd way to go, but it does sort of lift us. It buoys the spirit of the story, so to speak. I would say too that the importance of her relationship with Christy and of Lake are crucial to the story. They're the two things that really keep Darlin like her head above water and being hopeful. A child is always hopeful because you hope for that child that the future is better than perhaps your present or past. And the relationship with Christy is hopeful because she's fallen in love in what could be. Now, we're sort of set up to assume that that's going to be something that doesn't come to pass. It will remain just simply an affair, etc. And we're kind of taken aback when she says she wants more, which we'll get to in a minute. And then Christy actually does, because Christy wants more as well. So we have these two women who want more than what their lives are offering them and find it in themselves, which is pretty powerful and hopeful. So if we just take a look, for instance, at this introduction of the relationship. The woman in the shower is with Darlin is married. The shower is in the bathroom of room 17 at the Diplomat Hotel up on Lincoln. No one in the diplomatic service or any country has ever stayed there. So it's set up as this kind of like, you meet at the sort of the seedy motel to have an affair, but it becomes more than that. You see the way that they kiss each other and hold one another, and how much they mean to one another. Darlin doesn't say anything. Her own fantasy is that they go to the grocery shopping together. It's as unlikely as a vacation in Spain. So Christy is, someone of means. She's the what is it called? The Lexus driving NPR listening crowd, who fantasizes that they all go on vacation to Spain, and all Christy wants is just to go shopping together, just to be able to have a normal life, not to hide. And she assumes at this point in the story that it's just as unlikely, that they'll never have what she wants, which is just a normal relationship. But so we see her attraction and love for Christy. She says it's also about life being so much bigger than Darlin previously thought, a bigness just out of reach, right? That the relationship represents this hope for what her life could be. And then immediately after that, we get Lake's bedtime. And so those are like the two things set up right next to each other that offer Darlin some sort of hope for her life. I wanted to look at page 11, skipping all the way down after the casino and everything like that. So this is when Christy tells Darlin about what she heard on NPR. Yeah, the Lexus driving demographic, NPR listening, Lexus driving demographic, about the language Bo, which is disappearing, and there's no one left who can speak it. And can you imagine being the only person left on the planet who can speak this one language without having anyone to share it to, or share it with? And that is how they feel about each other, that they're the only two people who speak their own language. And immediately after that, we see this line, "It's so shiny," which is, of course, another customer talking about something else in Home Depot, but it's like their relationship is the thing that is so, it's like the bright, shiny object that they hope becomes something wonderful. I want more. This is where Christy says she really does just want more, and then, or Darlin says, and Christy says, you just think you want more. And how if they went through with what they've talked about before, that their lives would just turn into rubble, and then just sort of this deadpan, well, okay then, let's do it. Just like that, something invisible begins to beat against Darlin's chest with a mallet wrapped in a towel, but it still hurts in a sensational way. Sensational, the most exquisite anguish imaginable. So, that sort of, we would expect in a story like this, that moment of, okay, we're actually going to go for it with this relationship together, to be this huge monumental event, with swelling violins and things like that. And it's really not. It's just okay, and that's the end of it. And then I love the tone in when Gary, Christy's husband, comes and starts yelling at him, and what do we have over here? It's very passive. Darlin finds she's not afraid either, even though right away he gets red and starts shouting, and all Darlin hears is blah blah fucking freak, blah blah blah, lesbo, home wrecker, etc. It goes on to that, and he's poking her in the chest, and she's not even paying any attention because she's just sort of filled with this swelling love that she never really thought she had a chance at having. Um, so, you know, I, one of the things that I'd like to just underscore with this story and some of the others we've read is that, all these stories have kind of been written before, a love story. So, like, how do you make it original? And you have to have characters that are believable, um, in situations that are also believable, and you have to find a way to uh, not bore your reader, to surprise them with believable but unique plot twists, narrative devices, linguistic flourishes, realistic dialogue, etc. Because most readers have heard all of these stories before. You just need to find a way to make each story your own. Um, and that's a lot easier said than done, but hopefully these stories will give you um, some guidance on how to do that. So anyway, there's another story. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will, I guess, talk to you soon. All right, bye.